Hi, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Graham.
My name is Annette, and we're from Oztantra, where we are passionate about creating loving sexual relationships. And we decided to put on this webinar to give people an opportunity to hear what actually goes on at one of our couples retreats.
To get an insight into our relationship workshop, our flagship event, which is called Intimacy and Ecstasy.
Which is coming up in Bali on October 1st to 8th. This year we're holding it in Bali for the first time up in the hills of beautiful Ubud and at a lovely retreat there. And what we wanted to talk about is just to answer some of those most asked questions that couples come to us with, and letting you know exactly what goes on so that you've just got a bit of a feel of whether it might be something that would work for you.
And also having a deeper understanding, I suppose, of what it is that we're achieving to do, and what is it that most long-term couples deal with and grapple with in their everyday relationship, and what they struggle to find, for themselves in their major investment in their lives, which is their relationship. So, what we try to do, and we actually do succeed in doing this, is creating a space and an environment where you can actually feel what it's like to take that step into a deeper part of yourselves and connect with that, particularly around your sexuality. It's something that quite often in long-term relationships gets out of balance, and we do put a lot of emphasis and focus on your relationship in this workshop, where you two can find a way to actually bring your connection, your intimate connection, your lovemaking into balance, where it is win-win for both of you. And it's a big part of what we do in this workshop. We do teach a lot of tantric skills and how to learn these for yourself and bring them into the workshop.
And you may have heard some woo-woo things about Tantra along the way, but really the place that we're coming from in this is really how to bring the love and the heart back into sexuality, because often in long-term couples the sex becomes something that's more around a relief of attention rather than actually a creating of intimacy together. And that's one of the important aspects of this particular week. Although it's not only for couples who are seeking to recreate the magic, it can be also for couples who are in a good place in their relationship and want to take it to the next level. And couples who are usually coming along to our workshop are probably couples pretty much like you, who are along the mainstream end. I know Tantra has had a bit of an alternative edge in the past, but because of our background and who we are, being the ex-farmer and the nurse,
very mainstream,
we tend to, mostly mainstream, but we tend to attract people who are mainstream couples looking to recreate that intimacy and that joy from the early days together, when there was that heart and sexual connection in the first year or two of their relationship.
And what we try and what we achieve in this workshop is, and we're very good at this, is bringing a lot of the out there tantric practices. What we've found is we've done a lot of the out there stuff, and some of it was good and some of it was not good. And what we've found is what works for us, and that's what we bring into our work. And in this workshop, we look at a lot of those different things. We have a variety of different exercises or events that we have on, where you work with your partner, you work with your partner in this, and in this place finding and delving a bit deeper into yourself that you probably never have before. And the space that we create there is specifically for this, and looking at whatever it is in your relationship that's actually getting in the way. And and in a way that's lighthearted, it's fun, but it's the environment that we create there that is specifically for holding your relationship, where you just unravel a little bit to sort of find what it is that you need to connect with to make the next step, to make the changes. And but also too, during the week, make the changes in a way where you get to sort of sit with them for a while. So that's not just a one hit wonder. You get to sit with them for a while, practice, see what it feels like. So when you do go home and take them home with you, you've got more of an understanding of how that will impact on you. and what that means, and the good stuff, the really good stuff that's in there for you.
So what you might be gathering from what we've been saying is that this retreat is very much focused on you working with each other as a couple. It's not about group interaction. It's very much about you as individuals working with each other, because that's what you're there for. That's what you're wanting to create. And it still is a very special and unique opportunity to be around other couples who are working on their relationship as well. So it's not completely separate. One of the fears that's often expressed is that you don't have to share. There's no sharing of your relationship at a physical or sexual level. There's not even a sharing at so much of an emotional level. You don't have to tell us all the details of your relationship, sharing your story. It's not about that. You have the opportunity to work on your relationship in your own space, but be supported with the tools that we'll be teaching you, and with the feel of the other couples in that space of all loving each other and wanting to create more.
And it's a special place, because it is specifically set up for couples in a committed relationship, deeply loving relationship, and we put a lot of emphasis on that. And the other thing that we do in this is that the groups are small. We keep them small because it enables a deeper level of intimacy, and also too it makes it easier for us to meet each couple and each individual in that couple with where they're at. If things do get a little bit untidy or stuff comes up, we've got the space to actually really deal with it and really go right into it, and in a way where you guys are actually driving it. You're in a driver's seat. You're not being dragged along in some big space or something like that, but you're in a very small, very intimate space where you guys are actually driving the changes in your relationship, about looking at bringing the balance in a way that's actually really healthy, but also sustainable, because we're looking at developing healthy, sustainable, long-term relationships, and that's our focus.
And largely what gets in the way of couples connecting tends to be little unconscious patterns that we put in from unresolved hurts, because it's complex living with another unique individual, and so very unique individuals, and it's not about trying to become the same, but it's about nurturing that individuality, but also knowing how to smooth the rough bits out where that individuality rubs up against each other. And when that happens, we can put walls up, we can put protection around ourselves that makes us unavailable for relationship. And so in this week we find that couples really do have the ability to peel back some of the layers of protection and disconnection that they've created between themselves, and recreate that magic of their early days together, or if they didn't have that, to create that for the very first time.
And also to getting to see the humour of a lot of our stuff, the personal little intricacies and patterns that we all have, and seeing them in a way where you can actually probably think, well, that's ridiculous. Why do I keep doing that? And have a bit of a laugh about them, because that's part of the process, to actually see the humour in a lot of our little foibles and stuff like that, and being in a long-term relationship where that's where most of these things come to the surface. So looking at them and laughing at them, and then moving beyond them, but in a way that's both healthy and sustainable. And the place where we're going, the venue, is perfect for an intimate relationship workshop, where you've got the space for your relationship to actually really take time out and to delve into it. And the program that we put up to achieve this in this venue is specifically designed to do exactly that. It's very gentle, it's very low key, but it's very deep, and it really does get into the intimacy and the vulnerability and the sexuality and all of those little places that someone might be a little bit not afraid of, but not sure what to do in those places. And we have guided exercises or whatever, where you get to talk about something, or you ask questions, or you might be doing a specific exercise where you get to experience what that's like, where you get to challenge your potential for for creativity. There might be a fantasy game or something like that. There's a lot of things that we play that really do create intimacy in your relationship, but in a fun way. It's really like, I'm not quite being kids again, but it's certainly getting back into the fun and the youth and
creativity, spontaneity.
Yeah, and creating that balance and sort of bringing it all back to basics and sort of start in some ways not going back to the beginning, but back to that initial enthusiasm that you had for each other, and recreating that again, but recreating that in a way where it reflects where you are now, which is a bit further down the track, and also too there's a lot more wisdom, and bringing that in a way that really does make some pretty deep long-term changes in a very positive way.
Yeah, it's in that way, is a retreat like this, or working from a tantric perspective, is different to traditional couples therapy, which is more focused on what's wrong, what's dysfunctional in your relationship. And in Tantra, we see that there isn't anything wrong in your relationship. It's just being able to see each other more clearly and to work out ways to...
What's and all.
That's right, what's and all. And there's something about that seeing and that acceptance of each other that allows what we might traditionally see as problems to really shift, and to sometimes even the problems become the biggest source of juice in the relationship when you have that balance of opening and accepting and learning to play with those places. So yes, this week is about nurturing yourself. It's about challenging yourself, but also playing a little in the beautiful environment of the Heaven in Bali retreat up at Ubud in Bali. So beautiful surroundings, lovely environment, pool, great view, beautiful vegetarian food with a little bit of meat protein if that's your way. And really being nurtured in every way that you can imagine, and just having time to, there, a next neighbouring dog wants to join in, where you can really just surrender into your relationship and give it the space that you desire, because you're in that relationship, so you're choosing to be there. You're ultimately wanting to create the best that you possibly can from that choice. So this is the opportunity of learning to some of the foundation stones that will really help you to nurture and grow that relationship. And one of those is all about communication, and you've probably heard it a million times, communication skills. And it is, that's creation. Communication is really what creates the foundation of intimacy. And in this workshop, when I get my foot out of my mouth, we're able to teach you new ways of really communicating from the heart, and ways that validate the different ways that we communicate as both men and women, because we do tend to communicate differently, and it's not about trying to force one to communicate in the way of the other, or trying to get men to feel more, or trying to get women to be more sexual in a way that doesn't work for them. It's really about communicating what it is that's right for you, after finding what's right for you, and then communicating and creating what you can out of that meeting. And
the important thing to realise too is that we are qualified therapists, but what we've found is that therapy, in a way, its traditional practice is limited, particularly in long-term relationships, and particularly around sexuality. And what we've found is that the ultimate therapists in a relationship are yourselves. And we don't assume to be able to tell you, how to work things out, but we can create opportunities and create a space where you guys actually do work through the issues yourself in your way, a way that actually works for you. That,
absolutely.
Includes all aspects of yourselves and your relationship, where nothing's left out, and we're there to support you in doing that. But most importantly is holding space for you guys to do it yourself. We create the space and the environment, and the exercises are specifically developed to meet you in that place, and that you become your own gurus on your own relationship. And that's what we aim to create in this, is that you're your ultimate teachers. We give you the opportunities to learn for yourselves, and we support you in that. But ultimately, it's about you guys connecting with yourselves first and with each other. And in that place is finding what works for you, and really bringing that into your relationship. The skills to really bring a new way of looking at things. And Tantra is probably the learning Tantra that way is probably the best way of learning Tantra, because you create your own experience, you create your own desire to learn, and you create your own way of learning. And that's what we help you find is what works for you, because every single couple's different, and one size does not fit all. So what we do is we create the opportunity for you to find your size, your way, your learning, and what it is that you exactly do want for yourselves, and that really is the best way, the most sustainable way of bringing in long-term balance in your relationship, particularly around sexuality, where it becomes something that is balanced, that's equal, that you both meet each other equally in, and that's the real gift of Tantra, is that's the ideal place to be able to bring something like that into your relationship. So.
And we're often asked, what does a typical day look like? And we start with a little bit of connection in your rooms in the morning. We have a particular way of offering that. And then it's up for beautiful breakfast. And the morning's really spent on focusing on your relationship, around the communication skills, around understanding what it is that you particularly want to create in your relationship, starting to look at some of the aspects of how you can be creatively playful together, to more serious areas of how you might be blocking yourself from experiencing connection with the other. So just those more kind of relationship focused areas. And then after a nice long lovely lunch break, we come back in the afternoon and focus more on the tantric practice area of learning how to really connect with each other in that sexual energy, in that sexual space where it's connecting with your heart and sexual energy together.
And the way that we do that is very specific. That we work with the individuality of each of you in your relationship, and really enhance what you've already got, which is working with the feminine part in the woman and what that looks like and feels like, and doing that in a way where the men actually get to hear, see, understand, and be part of the discussions around that. And with men is talking about our sexuality, how that looks, how it works, and and from a very different perspective, and in a way that you probably never heard before. Things that you never even knew that you were capable of, and having those conversations with your partner there, and then all of a sudden, it becomes a team sport. Your lovemaking in your sexual space becomes a team sport in your relationship, and that's what we look at creating, because then you become more aware not only of yourselves but about each other, and how tantric sexuality looks and what it actually feels like in a relationship, and it'll blow your mind. I pretty well guarantee that, because it's a pretty awesome game to be playing in your relationship, and a long-term, deeply loving relationship is the ultimate place to bring Tantra in.
And so in the afternoons, we, as you might have heard, we focus on some of the tantric practices of how to really get you together. And then after a delicious dinner, we actually send you off to your rooms again with some very delicious home play activities. We don't call them homework. They're too delicious for that. We call them home play. And then you have a go of experiencing these practices for yourselves. So you get the opportunity to experience what it might be like when you get back home, so that you, as Grant said, you become your own gurus around how your body works and what it is that you can create with each other.
And when you do come home, part of being part of our network is that you're supported. That just because you come home doesn't mean that that's the end of it. We're here to support you before, during, and after the workshop, and that's what we do. And we're very good, we're very experienced, and we know how to do this in a way that is very respectful and very honouring of not only your relationship but also of you as individuals in that relationship. So what we do now is pretty much, we've given you an outline and we've explained roughly about what's going to happen. And if you do have any more questions or whatever, please give us a call on our toll-free number, or send us an email, and we'll be only too happy to give you more information. And if you do connect and apply with us, ask us something, there's also a free giveaway in this as well for those who decide to take the step and join our workshop. So,
make a connection. We're happy to give you the early bird discount if you contact us and let us know that you've heard this webinar, and that's our gift for you to listening in.
no worries. Thank you.
1-800-TANTRA.